Yeah, let me take it. Let me take it again.
Take it.
We'll take a drink now.
Do you want to do another sync or just go for it?
We're fine.
Okay. What's up, guys? It's Quarter Twins time.
Woo!
Welcome to Quarter Twins, the podcast where 2 quarters equals $1.
$1.
I'm joined here today with my cousin Joshua, as always,
Hello.
and also a very surprised, very spontaneous guest, Elisha Maxwell.
Oh, hey.
What's up?
I'm Elisha.
We're out here in Joplin, Missouri.
Aren't you so happy to be here?
I am. I love Joplin so much.
It's the
Shout
place
out
to be,
Joplin.
really.
Yeah.
Come on the podcast.
They've got a Chick-fil-A. They've got a Target.
That's our claim to fame.
So, I'm down here for a wedding, and I crashed at Elisha's house, and I was like, I have to record a podcast. I'm here. You're here. Want to do it? So we're here.
I'm
And there you
honored.
go. And
It's
so
an
the
honor
story
and a
was
privilege.
told.
Thank you for joining us, Elisha.
Of course. Anything for you.
Me and Elisha have been friends for a couple of years now, and his opinions on movies are trash.
Oh.
We disagree on
Everything.
literally pretty much almost everything. Literally almost pretty much everything. That's
I
the
might
thing.
have
Anytime
to
we get
show-
together, we fight pretty immediately.
Yeah. I might have
We
to
love
show
it.
the Star Wars ranking he sent to Jordan
Oh,
because
no.
that was cringe.
No, please
his Star Wars ranking makes me want to die. But
You guys
It was
said
rough.
you were like, and those people who have Revenge of the Sith as their number one, we hate those people. And I was like, wow, thanks.
yeah,
A personal attack.
garbage person. So yeah, we're gonna have fun today. We're gonna be talking about Moonknight, the full series. The season finale dropped on Wednesday. We watched it yesterday. And we're going to be talking about how we feel about it, how we feel about the show. We're going to be ranking all the Disney Plus MCU shows, where Moon Knight fits into all that ranking. But first, we just want to say, as always, thank you to our lovely listeners.
Thank you,
and our
listeners.
watchers. Thank
And
you
our
very
viewers. We love
much.
you.
As always, we love that the fact that anyone would choose to listen to us talk about anything. And we
The
appreciate
fact that,
you being here.
20-something people are doing it every week.
Yep.
5 weeks
have
later,
some-
that's crazy.
Some loyal listeners, so thank you very
Yeah.
much. We
Coming from Australia, Poland, Finland.
yeah, you guys
Seriously?
rock.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
We don't know how legit
That's
it
pretty
is,
cool.
but they show
Yeah.
up.
It
They
could've-
show up on our
yeah.
analytics. So
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
we love you.
We started doing ads for Anchor, and we have just now reached about 50 cents of ad revenue, and so we each get a quarter for Quarter Twins.
Woo!
And
The first
that's
quarter.
just, the first quarter of hopefully 1 or 2 more.
Their guests don't get anything,
No,
which is fine.
absolutely nothing.
This is the first quarter
Wow.
that
Wow.
I received in the
Wow.
mail today.
in the mail.
Just kidding, that's a lie.
Yeah.
A
in a
1999 Connecticut.
Nice. Only the best.
What
year.
else? What else? We last week we talked about potentially changing the release schedule. We might do that eventually. For now, it's just going to be easier for us to just keep doing what we're doing. So we're going to release the audio today on Friday, if you're listening today, and the video on Tuesdays.
Yeah. So in the future, when I'm no longer in college, I graduate in 12 days.
Woo! Me too.
So hype for that.
I dropped out.
After that, I will be home without a job for a couple weeks, so we could do a
Yes.
podcast every day. That's not going to
One a
happen,
day.
but I might do some. I might do some solo projects. I know Jordan has
Yeah,
thought about doing some
Ooh.
solo projects as well.
We have some solo projects in the work, in the
Probably
works.
only for the YouTube, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, after that, we do want to eventually get to a place where the video and the audio are coming out on the same day, whether that's recording earlier in the week. Who knows what we'll do, releasing the audio later. We did a poll on Instagram for what day of the week people would prefer, and the last time I checked it, it was 25% every day of the week. So, or like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or something like that. So there was no conclusive
we had a
answer.
vote for every day.
Yeah. So
Thanks, guys.
someone's gonna watch it every day of the week.
Yeah.
Maybe it means that we release it on Monday so they have more time during the week to listen to it. Or people only listen on the weekends, so we release it on Friday so they have the whole weekend to listen to it. You know,
We just got to pick a day.
what can we
we'll
do?
Pick one.
So
Yeah.
for now, nothing is changing, and then eventually everything will change. No.
Yeah.
You briefly brought up Anchor, our lovely sponsor.
Yes, I did.
And I thought, we've done our little intro here. We've talked for a little while. I thought it would be a great time to have a quick message from our sponsors. We're back, and it's the podcast times. You are listening to Quarter Twins. And
did you know that?
Yep, hopefully they did. And if you didn't, you've been listening long enough that you've already heard our tagline. So, thanks for continuing to watch. You've given us a penny. That's a fact.
Set.
Yep. Okay. Jordan, what are we talking about today? You already said it. We're talking about.
Yeah, we need to. I said it already.
Yep.
Moonknight.
We're talking about Moonknight. Last Wednesday on the 4th, we had is that right? The 4th? Yeah. The final episode, episode 6, released for Moonknight. It was the shortest episode by 4 minutes. A little disappointing when I read the report that was going to be the shortest episode of the series.
Yep.
But that's okay because well, that's what we're here to talk about,
get
right?
to it.
So I suppose we're going to be talking about Moonknight in its entirety today, including the finale. So spoilers for the entirety of Moonknight and probably all of the other MCU shows, as we're going to rank them here later.
Yep.
But let's get right into it. Do we want to do episode 6 and then a full review, or?
Yeah, I think so. Might as well.
All right. So
we should do a quick synopsis. What happened? What happened?
What happened, Jordan?
I mean,
Yeah.
Tell us.
What happened? Who's to say, really?
Honestly, though.
So it left off, or it picked up back where the last one left off, right?
there you go.
What happened? I'm still like,
He's dead in the water.
he's dead in the water. Mark has been taken to the field of reeds. Stephen has been cast to the duat, or whatever, into stone.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark is like, I don't want to be chilling out here in the field of reeds by myself. I want to go back for Stephen.
He
So
likes
he goes
Steven.
back. Yeah. He likes him a lot. He loves him even because he's him.
Whoa.
It's a strange...
Little convoluted.
a little strange. But, yeah, he goes back and saves Stephen. We can get to those details later. Save Stephen. They get resurrected, basically, by Khonshu, who is broken out by Layla. Harrow releases Amit. Big battles. Pew pew. Bang bang.
Bing bang.
Bing bang. Stuff
Godzilla
happens.
versus
So,
Mothra out there.
yeah.
Seriously,
for sure.
though.
Kaiju fight. All that stuff. Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Beautiful.
I don't know about you guys, but every week preceding, we started this podcast with the first episode of Moonknight. So we made it all the way to the end.
This is
Pretty
the
awesome.
podcast at its core.
Yeah, we started all the way back April 1st talking about Moonknight, and since that day, we've said, I'm worried about the last episode being like all the other last episodes of all the other Disney Plus shows, but we're optimistic because the rest of the show has been very creative and kind of against type. And when I opened the Disney Plus app and I saw that it was the shortest one in the entire series, I thought, well, that's on brand. And then as I just watched the episode, I was like, this is everything I didn't want it to be. Not saying I didn't enjoy it, but it's everything I thought it would be. So, what were your thoughts?
That is a bummer. Yeah. Gosh, I thought it was great.
And that's good.
I went into it thinking about how we were so worried about it being on brand and formulaic. And then 5 episodes went by and it was like this perfect dream sequence of all this amazing creativity and like cool characterization and, you know, interesting side characters and an antagonist. It was well shot, it was well edited, it was well paced, the script was good. And then we have this big Power Ranger Megazord fight. And I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, it happened in the background for most of it, which I liked because they were like, "Oh yeah, this is happening, you know, it's happened before. We're going to put it in the background while we have a normal fight in the forefront, like more martial arts, less superpowers."
Yeah.
Right?
You got the ground level and then the big god level.
Right.
Basically.
And there was even a shot, I think it was Harrow, was walking towards a beaten Mark. And you can see behind him Khonshu also losing his fight.
Yeah.
It's a cool little mirror there.
That shot was
So I
good.
think, yeah, I think that they didn't lose the creativity aspect, even though they went with the same old climax. I think, thinking about it, the only other Marvel movie that I have seen, or property even, that didn't go the bog standard way is Doctor Strange, that I can think of immediately. And we all praise that one for being super good and creative. So...
Do we? We'll get to it.
Oh.
We'll get to it another day.
Hype for June.
Yeah.
Marvel month. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely think it was good. I think everything up to that point, even in episode 6, was still good.
Mm-hmm.
We just have this like, oh, by the way, there's a giant alligator and a giant bird fighting over Giza. I think the part that I actually didn't like was how they defeated Amit.
Mm.
It was like, oh, by the way, there's a spell I know that we can go and do.
Somehow no.
And then there's no resistance. That
Yeah.
none
died,
of
like,
Amit's
instantly.
followers know about this spell, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them stay behind in the throne room or the council chamber, whatever, to stop this spell from happening.
Well, yeah, and I think I want to hear what you think about it. But I think what happens is Jake Lockley, which we'll get to, Jake Lockley basically kills them all
That is...
in that blackout scene.
That's
we'll
true.
get to that. But Elijah, what did you think of the whole show?
I have been very much on the same train as you guys have been, that it's like, if they can land this plane, then this, I think, will be my favorite Marvel show. And they landed it, but it's...
a couple skid marks on the tires.
They landed it in a way that didn't ruin it for me, which I'm happy about, but it wasn't necessarily what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Just the big... But it's also, like... They're comic movies. It's like they are built into that genre is action sequences and big cool things to see. So I'm like neutral about the last episode. I was with Amit and Khonshu, the big fight. It was very cool to see, especially when it was down at the ground level, but then they would also in the back. It was like, wow, that's very cool. But it just felt like stakes were low because it was like they're like spiritual beings, like them having a boxing match. Like, what is that going to do? Like, when Amit hit Khonshu really hard and Khonshu slammed into a wall really hard. It's like, because they're gods and, like, spiritual beings, I don't have a reference for, like, how concerned I should be about that. It's like, it just doesn't mean anything, I don't think. Yeah. And I also agree that they just, like, wrapped it up with, like, oh, there's this spell we know.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, and there was no, like,
whatever.
There was no context for the spell, where she learned it. If there was like a book or something that they talked about in the first episode, or like when Layla and Steven met for the first time in his apartment and they talked about this ancient spell book, then I'd be like, yeah, all right, that's fine.
Like maybe Taweret told her, like off
Yeah.
screen, or like being her avatar, maybe. But
even then,
they didn't
yeah,
really,
it's
they didn't
off
show
screen.
or tell us. So
They broke the cardinal rule of storytelling.
yeah,
They didn't
which
tell.
I did like Layla's character in becoming Taweret's avatar,
dude.
and has a cool costume, and that was pretty dope. I like all of the individual elements. I think of like the fight, the action scene with Moon Knight and Mr. Knight, Steven and Mark, kind of switching between the costume in between like punches was pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
And I like Layla joining that fight and whatever. And
I
I was really confused why Arthur Harrow became Amit's avatar, but then he was just in his normal clothes. Like, I don't know if you have to have a costume, but I was like, but he's in his normal clothes, so when he gets punched by Moon Knight, I'm like, are you okay? Like, are you a normal man still, or are you...
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a little odd. Because he definitely had, like, enhanced strength.
Yeah, he had his,
but maybe...
like, the glowy staff and whatever, but...
maybe that was it. He had an artifact. I did want to briefly talk about Oscar Isaac.
What a guy.
What an actor, huh? This guy.
He's amazing.
He makes the show for sure.
Oh, yeah. He is too good. There was a specific moment where, like, a lot of times throughout the show, we have the reflection acting, which you can do in post or whatever, where you see both faces, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. You can do the, like, you see him and then the camera goes behind his head and it comes back around and you see Steven or something. It changes personality. But then right in the last episode, we finally got a chance to watch his face change between personalities a couple times. And there's a specific moment in the mental ward, which is in his head.
Who knows?
Not real. Where
The
he's
afterlife,
where Mark
halfway,
or Steven is talking with Dr. Harrow. And he says something that Mark doesn't like, and you watch his face like relax, and he leans in and his eyes look different. It literally looks like he's a different person.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking in his normal voice as Mark, and I was like, oh,
He's so good.
that's like real acting, So
Acting.
yeah, primo stuff.
Primo
sure.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so I was talking to Elisha last night about the whole Jake Lockley thing, because we get a post-credit scene where Oscar Isaac, as a third personality, takes Harrow out of his own psychiatric real world hospital. It's in the real world, I think. Maybe
No, it's real
not.
for
Who
sure,
knows?
for sure.
And then takes him into a limo, and Conchu's there, and then he turns
Conchu
around and
looking
he's talking
fine in the
Spanish.
suit.
Yeah.
He does.
And then Conchu goes, Jake Lockley, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, pow, and kills Harrow or whatever. So
We have yet to see a body. I don't trust
gunshots.
anything for Marvel unless I see it.
Yeah, that's a fair
We
point.
saw main character's body, and he is still fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they, throughout the entire series, they hint at a third personality, right? They hint at, there's a lot of things, like the fact that in the first episode, Steven, like the lady at his work that's like, we're going on a date on Friday. Like one of the personalities set up a date with a girl, but Mark was married at the time. So it doesn't seem like something he would do
Right.
from his character.
I never even
so
thought of that.
That's a hint. And then there's a lot of other hints, especially in the mental ward. There's a third sarcophagus, and so they're hinting towards it. And reading the comics, like, that Jake Lockley is the third personality.
Yep.
If you have read it, so it was expected. And you, like, throughout the whole series, like when he blacks out, like in the first few episodes, when Steven will be running away and then he'll black out and then he'll wake up having killed a bunch of people. Like, you're supposed to think that that's Mark, and maybe it is sometimes, but you find out at the end that this happens, and both Mark and Steven are like, that wasn't me. So you get this,
Yeah.
but you don't see any of it. Here's my big thing. If you want to tease Jake Lockley, because Oscar Isaac has been like, I'm not doing this again. Like, I don't want to do another season, which I think he does want to do another season, but they might not make another one. So I'm like, if you want to tease a second season, that's when you do it, is in that last action scene when he's about to get killed, and then you see a shift in his face, and then you see like a different personality, and then you see him like straight up murdering people, and you get a reaction from Layla, and you get a reaction from Harrow, and you're seeing this. And another thing is there's so little Moonknight in Moonknight. Just it's already the shortest episode in the entire series. Just show us more action. Why'd you cut it out? That's your stinger for the next season or whatever. I don't know. What'd you think about that?
Me?
Either one.
I mean, I thought at the beginning we had the editing and the choppiness, right, where we would have gaps in Steven's memory. And if you recall, in the first episode of this podcast, when I talked about it, I said I wanted the entire show to be from Steven's point of view, just gaps in his memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I look back at that. That's ridiculous, of course. But I thought it would be
It's
a
awesome
cool
for that first
experiment
episode.
just to have a story with an unreliable narrator where he has literal gaps in his memory. He has to piece it together himself. I thought that would be cool. So, but I really loved those gaps in memory and that choppy, like, kind of where he would show up and then all of a sudden he'd be surrounded by dead bodies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed having that be the same trigger in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have this, like you said, we're supposed to think it's Mark, but Mark was the one on the ground.
Right.
So then you're like, okay, I guess Steven fought a little bit in the underworld. Maybe he somehow managed to do this, because he pulled out some crazy moves in that last episode.
He did.
Out of nowhere. So maybe he was able to figure it out. But no, it was Jake Lockley. And so we have, like, I guess it would have been cooler if there were no teases beforehand. And then we had that break in his memory and they both denied it. And then we showed Jake Lockley in the post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do agree that there could have been more. I would have loved to see the suit in a reflection or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to see, like, because I mean, I have no reference to what Jake Lockley's Moon Knight suit looks like, but I'd want it to be like jet black, like the dark side of the moon, you know?
Yeah.
I think that would be sweet. So
Yeah.
I just feel like this is a hot take, Marvel take. Let me just say it. I just think that Marvel stuff is so based from the comics, and there's just like millions of details and millions of different things in the comics that, like, only the real comic book nerds know. But then it's also, they've made the MCU where it's being marketed to the masses. And so, like, I think Marvel has a hard time deciding who they want to make happy, whether it's the masses or the real comic book nerds, because I've watched YouTube videos talking about the comics of Moon Knight, does Jake Lockley mean anything to me. And I just feel like the average person who watches this show, they get to the end and they find out, oh, finally, who's the third person? Who's the third person? We find out it's Jake Lockley, who has not been mentioned or referenced, or like, it just like doesn't mean anything. And I think Marvel stuff does that kind of often, and it's like it's completely lost on me until I go watch the YouTube videos where it can be explained for me. But it's just like, it just doesn't. Agatha
Harkness thing. She goes,
that doesn't mean anything.
I'm Agatha Harkness.
And I said,
like,
who's that?
Who's
It just, it's hard when they pull super deep comic book things. And for those who know, it means so much, but it's like probably 3% of the people watching these shows and these movies.
yeah,
So like the Jake Lockley ending, it's just like, okay.
that's
you know.
interesting. It reminds me of back in probably 2011, Star Trek Into Darkness comes out.
Yes.
And
Same
Benedict
issue.
Cumberbatch is Khan, which is a huge deal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
For people
And
who know.
for
Right.
people who know who Khan is. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like I'm sitting there with my dad watching it for the first time, and he says, "I am Khan." And he makes that face and he's like, "This is the reveal. We're doing it." I'm sitting there,
Yeah.
a kid, and I obviously know. I'm like, "Okay, this is important, but I don't know who this is."
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, "Oh, Khan." and then, they have at the end, you have the hyperspace core. I can't remember the Star Trek names for all these things.
Yeah.
But the warp drive.
Warp drive.
And someone has to go in to fix the warp drive because it's misaligned and they can't escape the black hole or whatever whatever's happening. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And
Whatever.
yeah, something like that. They're falling into Earth or something. I don't remember.
Something like that.
And in the Wrath of Khan, Spock goes to save Kirk, or goes in to sacrifice himself. In the Star Trek Into Darkness, it's spoilers, I guess, for all these movies. They're old. Kirk goes and saves the crew because he's the captain. It's great. But in both movies, they have this moment where they put their hands on the glass and they like slowly do the live long and prosper hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the old movie, Kirk screams, "Khan!" And then in the new movie, Spock is the one that screams "Khan." And my dad was like, "This is backwards." And I'm like, "What do you mean? This is the first time this ever happened."
Yeah.
And so I think it's very similar to that, where you have these movies that are marketed for the masses, like you said, but they also are like, we know what we're doing. We know what we're talking about. A couple of you guys know who Jake Lockley is.
Yeah.
And so we're going to tease him throughout. But yeah, then they like name drop it like, "Oh, this is Jake Lockley.
Mm-hmm.
You know who that is."
Who's
like,
that?
I don't. I only knew
Correct.
because of a TikTok that spoiled it or something,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I was kind of thinking about that, like normal TV shows that are more than 6 episodes. Like this felt like a mid-series finale. Like in normal shows, they would have like a mid-series stinger to get you come back at the end of Christmas or whatever. But it's not. It's over. There might not be another one. And they end the show by, I was telling him last night, I hate the trope in like superhero action movies. It happens in Spectre, the James Bond movie. I hate the trope where your main character is like the hero, but he's like he murders, however many people
So many people
on the way. He's killing. Moonknight kills tons of people, and then you get to the one guy at the end, the main villain, and then you go, "No, I'm morally higher than you. I'm not gonna kill him. Like if you want to kill him, do it yourself, Khonshu."
Yeah.
We were like, "Listen,
But all
Murder's
the random
bad.
people you've slaughtered on the way, they don't matter.
if you're gonna kill anyone,
Yeah.
that's the guy you're gonna kill. You need to kill him because he has like
and
actually
the evil
Satan.
goddess inside of him.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
indwelled with like an actual murderous demon creature. So
Yeah,
like
that's
if you're gonna
interesting.
kill someone, he does
That's
kill
the guy.
him eventually via Jake Lockley.
Right.
Right.
But so he doesn't kill him, and then he's like, "Release us," and Khonshu releases him, and then he wakes up in bed, and he trips, and then it's over, and it happens that fast, and it's like, series is over. Cool.
Yeah. I thought that I sat here, and I mean, to be fair to anyone, if you don't know me, spoiler alert for me, I talk out loud to myself just as much as I talk to other people, because that's how I think. And I'm sitting here looking at my screen, and it rolls the credits, and I'm like, "Oh, it's over."
Yeah.
Out loud. And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, okay. It was just a shocking ending. And then I move my mouse to see how much is left, and I see like 20 minutes or something, and I'm like, all right, there's something else happening.
Yeah.
So then we get the post-credit scene, but yeah, it was like, you have this moment where, like, part of Mark's arc, I guess, is being a better man, and part of that is not killing people. So it's like, okay, you killed Layla's father, but you didn't, but you were involved.
He was there.
Whatever. You killed a lot of people throughout the whole series. Steven beat some people up. I don't know if his nunchucks killed anybody per se, but the moon blades definitely were dealing some lethal damage.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have this final moment with Harrow, and he's like, "No, my character arc is resolved. I will no longer kill."
Yeah.
And that's great, but you killed people 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that.
And I liked the like character arc thing of comparing what Khonshu was saying of like, if you let them live, Amit through Harrow, they're gonna do terrible things. And it's like, well, that's why we hate Amit in the first place, is that logic. And it's like, I really do like that from the like poetic story side of things. Is like, wow, that is a good point. But like also, like it brings up like, then what's justice? Like she's also done bad things in the past already, and so it's like we should just
she will kill again
for sure.
Yeah.
Via Harrow, they should all.
It's
go.
the whole "would you kill Hitler" argument.
Yeah,
that people have.
100%.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Certainly,
like,
I would kill
Emperor
Hitler
Palpatine.
if he was halfway through all the terrible things he'd done. He'd already done terrible things, and then he's probably going to do more in the future. It's like
We don't need to. Yeah, we don't need to get into that.
That's like Mace Windu wanting to kill Palpatine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Anakin's like, he must stand trial.
Trial.
I'm like, what? No.
Really?
This dude
He created a war that killed thousands and millions of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a great dude.
No.
He has a granddaughter though.
Sure does.
Terrible.
Yeah, whatever.
It's another thing we disagree on, but that's for a different day.
What are you a Rey Skywalker kind of guy?
I'm not.
He is.
I
don't
look,
let him tell you
look.
he's not.
Feel like I need to defend myself. I don't love that movie, but I definitely don't hate it either. And it's like middle of the road on my Star Wars list.
Wow.
And he has Revenge of the Sith at number 1.
do.
And he has A New Hope at the last ranking. He has Star Wars at the very bottom.
And I... Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
not
we should
holding
keep
back
going.
Okay.
We can do another episode about that.
Okay. Somebody take the mic away from this guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. No. We're all about free speech. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean...
So let's see here. What do we have next on the docket?
Art or fart? Should we do art or
Art
fart?
or fart? Yeah, let's do it.
For this series or the episode?
Series.
We'll talk about the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art. It's art.
Yeah.
It's art.
It's glorious art.
It's art.
It's so
too
good.
It's not the like Elisha said. It doesn't. The last episode doesn't ruin the rest of the series by any means. Like it's an enjoyable episode. It's just, I honestly think. I mean, get to this with the other shows. I just think 6 episodes just is not enough.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done it well yet, and WandaVision is I think 8 episodes because they split the first 2.
Yeah.
In half.
Yeah.
For the TV episode gimmick. But anyway, I just don't think it's long enough. I don't think it's long enough. And I also thought. You want to know what else I also thought?
What else did you think?
What else did you think? Thought?
I think
tell
with
us.
all of these shows, I'm like, if you're gonna rush, if you're gonna do, here's what they do.
Get it out.
They take we have 6 episodes, and we have some time to kind of take a little bit more effort and time to writing these characters, putting more effort into the visuals and the pacing, and pace it out and make Moon Knight specifically like we can take our time. He doesn't have to be in the suit all the time. He's just the character, and then they're just doing this, and then they're like, it's time to write episode 6. It's bang bang boom boom.
Yeah.
Big fights, and I just think, why don't you just put all that effort into a really good 2.5-hour Moon Knight movie, or a Loki movie, or WandaVision movie? Actually, take that back. WandaVision needs to stay a series, but that's my thought. I'm like, why don't you just make good movies?
They have
Or
made
make
quite a
good
few
shows.
movies.
Yes.
They have made some good movies.
Yeah. Even just
Anyway.
like 10 episodes, 12 episodes
Yes.
Yeah.
would be
Even 8. Like,
yeah.
For
it would
Moon
be
Knight,
so
I'm
much
like, if you
better.
just even one more for Moon Knight, I was like, I think you could have done it more.
Yeah.
Or done it a little bit better.
And
But
not
anyway,
to,
it is art.
It's art for sure. Okay. We have time and we have a burning desire. So let's talk about the rest of the Disney Plus
Yes.
Marvel shows.
I'll try not to talk as much about all of these.
And we will rank them. So, this time we have 3 rankings. So it's gonna be great. Hopefully there will be more discourse.
Yeah.
We can have
How do we
some-
want to do this? Do we want to go like? Do you want like one of us? Do you want me to go through my whole list and go around, or should we do like everybody's number 5, everybody's number 4? Because I might get a little bit. Because we'll end up talking about like all of them a couple times. I don't know. We should have had this discussion.
Yeah, we probably should have thought of this sooner. I think we can just do everybody's number 7 and then talk about whatever show that is.
Sweet.
And then move to the next one. And if it's already been talked about, then we'll just not.
Keep it
Yeah.
rolling.
So
So we have 6. I didn't put
yeah, there are
the
6.
6th one on here. There are 6. What
I
are
have-
those 6, Joshua?
I have 2 disclaimers before we get to the 6 shows. So, we will not be talking about the Netflix shows Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Defenders. Any other ones I don't remember. We will not be talking about the ABC show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter. Before we get to the Disney Plus shows, I would say Daredevil is the best Marvel show.
It's
there
the best superhero anything.
There are no arguments to be made against it.
Have you
It is
watched
better
I
than
haven't seen anything that's not MCU.
the Daredevil show,
should watch it.
seasons 1 and 3 specifically. Season 2, okay, it's not a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's like a
Seasons 1 and 3 are 10s out of 10s for me.
Yep.
They are better than most Marvel movies.
Daredevil is I make the argument it's legitimately the best superhero visual medium art piece
It's so
ever
good.
made.
It's so good.
It's a masterpiece.
Marvel
we
or
should,
DC?
We'll
Just
talk
ever?
about it. Yeah.
Wow.
And
It's so
and
good.
it's not even super close.
Yeah,
So,
it's amazing.
Watch Daredevil, please.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., me and my parents watched it. Shout out my parents. It's 7 seasons long, and it's about 6 seasons too long. So season 1 is great. Highly recommend. If you actually care about the rest of the show, it's like a 5 out
We
of 10.
forgot about the Inhumans.
Oh,
Did you know that was a show?
I didn't even
'Cause
know.
Neither did anyone else.
All
'Cause
right.
It's garbage.
Is that the one on Hulu?
I think it
'Cause
no,
there's like
it's on
a-
Disney Plus now, but it's a fascinating story of how they made Inhumans because this guy, we don't have to get into all of it. This guy at Marvel who's like notoriously old and annoying, he was like, I want to make this Inhumans TV show, and so they made it and they released it in IMAX theaters. So they released each episode in IMAX, but so this rando guy was like, I want to make this, and he has some pull with Marvel, so they had to make it. But Kevin Feige was like, I do not want to make this. So they put 0 effort into it, and it's hilarious.
That's awesome.
So anyway, MCU Disney Plus
Okay.
shows.
You asked me what the 6 shows are.
Yes.
So in no particular order,
I was gonna say no particular order.
No particular-
I will.
Order of release, maybe?
We were
I don't
gonna
know.
briefly mention them all here. We have Moonknight, the newest one. We have. I guess I can do them in release order. Wanda Vision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What If came before Loki, I think.
Loki came first, actually.
Loki?
Because Loki kind of
Oh
jumpstarts
yes,
the
yeah,
What
you're
If
right.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Loki, What If, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight. Yep. My second disclaimer. Last week, I mentioned that I have not seen Hawkeye. I brought up the idea that I would watch it before this week.
The idea.
And actually, I'm pretty sure I said I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Nope.
I was under
Didn't
the
happen.
impression that you were watching it this entire time.
Did not happen. So
That's all right.
my number 6, sorry, is Hawkeye because I haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
It's not fair to put it above anything because I haven't seen it.
An additional disclaimer: I have not seen What If,
Well, there you go.
so it's at the bottom of mine.
What If is also at the bottom of mine.
Ooh.
But you've
Okay.
seen it.
So
I have seen
there are our number 7s.
Number 6. 6.
Or 6. Sorry, I made it 7 because I put Daredevil at number 1.
Yes. Because it is number 1.
It is number 1.
It's
but
the best anything.
There's only 6 shows. I apologize. So we have
Knowing
Hawkeye
Elisha, he'd hate
and
it.
What If
It's
at the
okay.
bottom.
trash.
I don't know anything about Hawkeye other than he is deaf for a portion of the show.
What? I don't
What?
think he is.
He's
What?
He's like partially deaf.
Doesn't he?
Oh,
Okay,
deaf.
yes,
I
he's
thought you said
deaf.
deaf. Like dead.
He is deaf.
Oh, no.
I thought you
he
said
is deaf.
deaf.
Hard of
Like
hearing.
incarnate.
He
Like
cannot
Batman?
hear.
I'm deaf. He doesn't say that.
I
He
am the
is
shadows.
partially deaf, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You made me think I was going crazy there for a second. I distinctly remember walking downstairs one day and my roommates were watching it and there was just like tinnitus ringing in his ears and he couldn't hear and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, and Haley Steinfeld is in it, which is cool. She's great.
Yeah.
But that's
Do we
about
wanna
it for
talk
me.
much about What If? Because I don't really have that much to say about it.
Um,
It's just like,
What's for
it's
the?
fine.
I haven't seen it. What is it?
So the Loki ends with the multiverse being unleashed, basically. So What If is just animated, like what if scenarios, like what if Peggy Carter became the super soldier, not Steve. I almost said Steve Martin. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Carell. Gosh, what is his name?
Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
Steve
Rogers,
Martin.
Steve Bannon.
I want
I
to
was
see
like,
that. What if
all the Steves except
Captain America is
Steve
but it's
Carell.
Steve Martin?
or Steve Martin, both of them. And then one's like, what if all the Avengers got murdered? What if zombies is a good one?
Yeah.
What if Doctor
Doctor
Strange
Strange went
lost
back in
his
time.
love or whatever?
Yeah.
So just like fun what if scenarios, and it's fine, but I don't know. It's not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joshua? He's smiling so big.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I think
that's good.
yeah. So we'll talk about it later when I get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
But,
it was your number 5, but I guess it's not. There you go.
It's no, it's not.
You don't have
for
to say
sure.
what it is. But so we'll get
Hawkeye
to it.
is my
Alright,
bottom one.
Hawkeye is number 6.
Okay.
What
Is it
if is number 5 or 6 for both of us? Anyway.
6 for you and Hawkeye is 5 for you? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hawkeye is my number 5.
I like Hawkeye. Well, I like Clint Barton. I don't really care about Hawkeye as a character, but I care a lot about Clint Barton as a character because I think being like one of the only family man characters for most of the series. Obviously, Iron Man has a family in the last 2 movies. But Hawkeye is kind of like he's one of the only people that still has both sides. He still has a normal life, as much as he, because he's just a super agent, secret agent or whatever, basically for most of the show. So those are my only thoughts. I like Clint. I don't know anything else. You guys go ahead and
So
blabber about how
my
bad
number
it
5
is.
is Hawkeye. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Falcon Winter Soldier.
Okay, Josh, what's your
Okay.
number 5?
WandaVision.
Okay, so we got
Ooh, this gets convoluted.
all the differing opinions. So Hawkeye is at the bottom of my list, basically. Number 5. Because it's, for me, the Hawkeye show is just, it's the most basic MCU it doesn't really take any risks. It doesn't really do anything too interesting. It brings. Oh, I don't want to spoil it for you, because something happens at the end. There's a character in it that you will want to see. So I'm not going to spoil that.
I know, like, what is her name? Yelena? Florence Pugh's character shows up. I know that Kingpin is in it.
Okay, that's what I was getting about.
Okay.
So they bring back Kingpin, and I have major issues with how they brought him back. Because they turned him into something that he just wasn't in the Daredevil show. In Daredevil, Kingpin is like one of the best comic book movie villains ever.
I think Vincent D'Onofrio is up there with like Hugh Jackman and Robert Downey Jr. for best cast.
He's so good in that show, and they brought him into Hawkeye. And while I was happy to see him, he gets turned into an MCU, which is so pretentious of me to say, but he just they just make him so MCU, and it works fine in that story. But like they brought Vincent D'Onofrio back, and he's just not the same. And the rest of the show is just kind of like okay. I like Haley Steinfeld a lot. I'm glad she's the character. She does a great job.
What is the name of her hero?
I think she just ends up being Hawkeye. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
She basically takes over Hawkeye from
I thought she had a name.
Clint.
Like Hawkshot.
I could be wrong.
True Shot or something.
Yeah.
True Shot. I think
they actually joke about that. She's like, what's
maybe.
my name going to be? And she gives like really cliche things like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he's like, no, you don't know.
Yeah. None of these shows are bad. Hawkeye's just at the bottom because I probably just won't ever watch it again because it was fun while I watched it, and it's just good. I probably won't watch it again. So.
Well, there you
go. Can
go.
I say where it is on mine? Or do I just do my number 5?
Well, do your number 5.
My number 5 is not Captain Falcon. That's what I always call it. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because...
You're going to hate how high it is on my list.
Oh, man. It for me, I would also like to give the disclaimer that all of these shows are great shows. Yeah. They really are. So when I crap on this one like I'm about to, let that ruminate beforehand. It's okay. I'm not that invested in those two characters, Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I just feel like Marvel didn't make me invested in them. They never had their own movies or anything, and they just feel like side characters whenever the Avengers get together. And so then it was like cool to get a movie with them or a show with them to like actually give them more exposure and to fall in love with those characters. But I just didn't. I don't know why. I have reasons. It's whatever to me. I watched it, and every episode I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then there are a couple things. I did like the Bucky is in therapy plot. I really liked that. I thought that was cool. I liked, in theory, Falcon having a hard time taking on the mantle of Captain America because of his race and his heritage. I liked that. It felt a little on the nose, just a little. It just felt like too... I liked what you were saying, and I think it was the year they released it was a good year for Marvel to say that. It just... When like there was a huge battle at the end, and then all of a sudden there's all these cameras, and then Falcon turns to the camera and gives a big speech. It was like...
These are my political beliefs.
These are what I think about this. And it's like... yeah. I think one of the like more... disappointing things about it was the older black character who like was very like, why would you do that? He was very cynical, very whatever. Like, I liked that he was there as giving like the other opinion on the other side of the issue, but the way he was like so easily and quickly swayed to the other side, it just is like unrealistic. It was like, I don't think that he would actually, because Falcon had one good conversation with him and then he gave a speech on TV. Like, it's just not that easy. It's not that simple. So anyway, but most of why it's 5 for me is I didn't care that much. I watched it and it was like, this is okay. But it didn't move me very much, and it was just whatever for me. Great show. I would very much watch it again and enjoy it, but it's at the bottom for me with the shows.
There you go.
We'll give our thoughts when we get to it. But what's your
nervous.
What's your number 5, Joshua?
I have Wanda Vision at number 5.
Okay.
Oh.
So
Oh no.
I've
I
seen his
think-
list.
I think this is probably a hotter take,
I
considering-
love that it's your number 5.
considering that there are, 4 other shows above it.
Yeah.
This is the first one. I think when I made this list last night after I watched the final trailer for the newest Doctor Strange movie, which we're gonna go see this weekend, baby.
Yeah.
See you later.
And there is there's a line that she says in that movie that they've used in all the trailers, and it's like this snarky, that doesn't seem fair line.
Yeah.
About breaking the rules. And
I'm the villain or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, so I sat there and thought about it. I was like, okay, what did she do when she broke the rules? Doctor Strange broke the time loop rule, used the Eye of Agamotto to create a time loop, reverse time. That's breaking the magical rules. He saved the entire planet. Wanda enslaved an entire city after
She sure did.
assaulting a sword facility and stealing the dead body of her lover, reanimating it,
Yep.
and then mind controlling an entire city to reenact her own fantasy.
Man, when you say
Problematic.
it like that.
I would say.
So I had WandaVision at like 3. And then I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, wow, this story is about a villain.
Which would
And-
be awesome
Yeah.
if they treated her like a villain,
Yeah.
but they don't.
But they really
to it.
glorify everything she does, and I think that is bad. And it's really sad for me because Wanda and Vision are such good characters in the rest of the show, having their little arc from Sokovia. Oh, she also aided and abetted in the attempted murder of the Avengers, which also ended up resulting in the destruction of her home country. So,
I'm
know.
looking forward to seeing Doctor Strange too, because
Yeah.
I think it might change our opinion on WandaVision
Yeah.
a little bit, because they might resolve some of that character.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
So, I think it's a little more fluid, this list, than like
Yeah.
Star
It
Wars,
is. Yeah, yeah. It's
which
never
is
changing.
set in stone. It's iron.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
There's no
I
changing
was kind of
any
the WandaVision is my number 4.
Okay.
And yeah, my list changed drastically within the past week because I rewatched Loki and I rewatched WandaVision. I've seen Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I don't know why we always say that.
I've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier twice. Finished Moonknight. I've seen Hawkeye. And when I rewatched WandaVision and Loki, my list like changed a lot. I had WandaVision at number 2. It's down at my number 4. Yeah, she is definitely like the villain, and so this is WandaVision is the epitome of what I don't like about these shows is the whole like taking episodes to set up something super creative and super interesting. Like the first 3 episodes of WandaVision are like masterclass.
True.
I really love. I have a whole essay written about what I would have done differently with WandaVision. I'll have to send that your way.
I'm excited to read it.
I really love the first few episodes where they're just having a sitcom episode with a little like Twilight Zone-esque like horror stinger at the end. It makes you go like, what the heck is going on?
What's really happening here?
And they build all this stuff, and they bring in Quicksilver from the X-Men movies, except he's not Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. His last name is Boner, and that's a joke, and that's funny because boners are funny. Hilarious WandaVision. Great job. Great joke, Kevin. Great
Kevin.
joke. I love
Who
it.
let George
It's
Lucas
great.
write a line?
Who let George write a line? They do all this. It's a show that is made to make the audience go, oh, I've seen that somewhere else. I'll come back next week. Or they said, I know a aerospace engineer that can help with this. Let's come back next week and see who it is. It's no one. We brought back the X-Men character. It's not. And just like, but I really enjoy a lot of the emotional weight of the characters. The relationship between Wanda and Vision, I think it's really good. And just the last episode is like the worst MCU thing ever because it just takes everything interesting. You can talk later.
Yeah.
It's just it takes everything interesting and just turns it into a big CGI MCU battle. And then at the end, Wanda doesn't face any consequences for actions, which she might later in the series.
Yeah.
But she's just kind of like Monica Rambeau just kind of lets her go. And like when she's kind of like a war criminal, it's just like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just a mess, a good mess that has lots of interesting stuff in it that just didn't stick the landing for me. So
there you go.
Did you have anything more to say, Joshua? I didn't want to cut you off.
I mean, yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, honestly. I like the characters. What you said about the first couple episodes was really great. I like how it is this, like, we have this, okay, something is clearly wrong. We're in the past, but it can't be the past because Vision is this futuristic robot. So something is wrong. And then you get you have the beekeeper guy, the RC helicopter in the 60s, all this stuff. And you're like, okay, maybe somehow someone put a spell or something on her, like another witch, right? And you have Agatha eventually who comes up, but it's not her. She's not the one tricking all these people or enslaving all these people. It's Wanda. And when I found out that was the case, I was like, oh. Yeah. That's not a hero.
They don't commit to it because they have this whole musical bit where it's like, it was Agatha all along. But, like...
It wasn't.
It wasn't. Was it, Elisha? Anyway,
Depends
so...
what
Yeah,
you
WandaVision, we hit an hour, I think, so we should probably...
No, but this is a great discussion. We're chilling.
Yeah, I like it. WandaVision is my number 4. What was your number 4?
Oh, let me look.
Elisha?
My number 4 was Hawkeye.
Okay.
So it is a really great show. Let me be clear again. I actually really liked Hawkeye, and I was surprised because I think popular opinion of Hawkeye was like, eh. And I actually really enjoyed it, and I didn't think I was going to. I actually put off watching it for a couple months because so many people had talked like, it's whatever. I actually really liked it, and I was surprised. And I almost put it as number 3 because I like it so much, but I actually think my number 3 is better, objectively. But I really liked, my biggest thing about Hawkeye that I liked, there's 2 things. It gave Hawkeye finally some screen time, which he has been needing and wanting. I don't know if he's been wanting it, but he has been needing it for a very long time. I think it's just like unfortunate how in the beginning, like the first Avengers movies in 2012, like there was the 6 Avengers, but like only 4 of them had movies, and like Black Widow never got anything, Hawkeye never got anything, and it's like they're like the main 6. Like how did their characters never got developed? And so when Black Widow came out, say what you want about the movie, I was glad she finally had a movie. But then when Hawkeye came out, I was like, okay, good, because I like this character and I want to really like this character. I just they haven't let me because he hasn't been in it very much. So I was really happy just to see him and see Clint Barton get a character arc finally, more so than whatever he's been given up to this point. And then B was that I just really enjoyed that it was a smaller story with not as high stakes, which I understand is a lot of people's reasons to be like, it didn't matter ultimately what happened in the end. It's whatever. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air for me, I think. Just like, oh man, it doesn't all have to be, we are breaking multi-dimensional rules. Like we haven't eliminated half the population. Like the stakes are pretty low, but the meat of the show is in the character development. And I really, really liked that. It's like, I don't need the stakes to be huge. I just want to see characters grow and have an arc. That's what I watch shows for the most part. So I really liked that part of it. And I think Yelena is hilarious, and I love whenever she's on screen. Florence Pugh is a gem that we are undeserving of. I love her.
Yeah.
And that character is just great. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that she got to be in that show and will be in further stuff.
Yeah, you need to watch Hawkeye, Josh, just for Yelena
Apparently, yeah.
content.
Wow.
She's great.
There is
I mean,
one
she's
episode
great in the
where
movie, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There is one episode where she is in it for a good amount of the episode, and just, man, every time she opens her mouth,
Her
I
and,
just love it.
Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld have some really good chemistry
Oh,
together. They're
it's
really,
so fun to
really
watch.
That's
fun to
awesome. Yeah. I might wait till Christmas time since it's a Christmas show.
Yeah.
But
probably watch
I
it
mean, I
during Christmas.
definitely want to watch it, so.
It's a good watch.
Yeah. All
What
right,
was
you
your,
guys have talked
number
about
4?
your number 4s. My number 4 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Nice.
I don't know how it hasn't shown up on your list yet, Jordan, has it?
No.
Okay.
It's
I would say that it is the Black Widow of Marvel movies. It is
Okay.
well, you have like
I have thoughts about Black Widow.
and
Go on.
and that might mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
To me,
sure.
to me, similar to what you just said, it is a lower stakes story, and it doesn't have a large impact on the rest of the world, but you get to have these characters who haven't had a lot of development through their own movies. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier are both Captain America side characters.
Yeah.
And they're both candidates to be Captain America. And then you have this story about America and racial inequity, blah blah blah. And they have this other straight white guy be Captain America because the last one was a straight white guy. And they're like, "Oh, perfect. He's another strong straight white guy. That's how it should be." Blah blah blah.
Right.
And the reason that Steve Rogers was Captain America was not because he was a strong straight white guy. He was a good man.
Right.
And so this other guy, I don't even remember his name, is not a good guy, and whatever qualities in him that were magnified by the serum that they used were magnified and made him worse of a man overall. And so, but I'm not even really making a point with what I'm saying. I'm just annoying myself. I liked that Falcon and Winter Soldier got time to be characters on their own and characters together without Steve. Because before, they really only showed up to be Steve's friend. Or in Ant-Man that one time. So it was good to have them be their own character.
Yeah.
Side note, Black Widow's a fantastic movie.
Thank you.
Is it?
Okay.
Man.
I love that movie. Okay,
I
so
knew
great.
I liked you.
That's great.
I also will say
Okay.
about Falcon and Winter Soldier, I forgot to say it because I ranked it as 5, but I did love the chemistry between the two. I think those guys do a great job on screen. Like, and how their chemistry is on screen almost makes me think that they're probably friends off screen. I feel like I can just
For
tell.
sure.
Like, they just really get along, and I think it's really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
so
show.
Falcon Winter Soldier is my number 3, so we'll move her on
Nice.
over here.
Hit us up.
Yeah, I really love Falcon Winter Soldier for a lot of reasons. All the things you didn't like, I think I liked. I kind of what you said it too, Josh. I think it did those two characters taking side characters and putting them in their own story together and making them like it has the first episode is, the superhero Falcon. A superhero just has to go to the bank with his sister and apply for a loan, like because he's a real person. And I think that's interesting. They take these characters and put them on like a human level. And Bucky is, in therapy. He's trying to atone for, years of his, basically atone for his sins, basically. And stylistically, which means a lot to me. Cinematography and all that sort of thing. Falcon and Winter Soldier is a beautiful show. It's directed super well. It's directed by the woman who directed the Punisher series. Big fan of that series.
Shout out Punisher. That's a good show.
Great show. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm. Sorry.
Not for the
Yeah, to catch up on.
not for the easily disturbed.
No.
I would say.
But the direction's really good. I really love John Walker as a character because he.
John Walker.
I like him because I think that he. On a certain sense, he is a good man. Like, he has good intentions. There's something deep inside him that isn't what Steve Rogers was. He says he's not trying to be Steve Rogers, but he is trying to be Steve Rogers, and he's trying to basically carry the weight of America on his shoulders or whatever, and going about it in all the wrong ways. And I think that was a really interesting character. And I wish, my problem with the show is I wish they would have focused on him as a villain, and just, because none of us have talked about the actual antagonist of the show and the main plot with the Flag Smashers. That's their name. Flag Smashers. It's hilarious. I think they should just cut all that out because you didn't need it. It's the most, like, I don't know. It's the least interesting part of the show, I think.
Well, yeah.
And I think if they would have focused on John Walker, it would have been much better. And I love the action in Falcon Winter Soldier is really good. There's the scene towards the end. John Walker freaking just like decapitates a dude with the Captain America shield, and that's just like the most jarring thing to see. Yeah. And then they have their action scene in that kind of like warehouse where Falcon and Bucky are fighting John Walker. One of the best MCU action scenes in my opinion. Big fan.
Man, I'm going to have to rewatch all these shows now.
Good show.
Now that we're talking about it.
Good show.
Yeah.
That was my number 3.
Your number 3. Elisha, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Loki.
Oh, man.
Which is hot take, maybe. Yeah. The only negative thing, I have two. I will let you guys gush about Loki because I could gush about Loki all day, but you guys have it higher, so I'll let you guys say all of those things.
Thank you.
My only two negatives that I would give at the top is that it was the stakes are mind-blowingly large, which I love usually, but sometimes with Marvel stuff, it's like, okay, the stakes don't always have to be like universe or multiple universe shifting stuff, you know? And so for me, especially hot off the heels of Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, for me it felt like a little soon to try to make the stakes that big again. And so it was like, it just felt soon. And it's like, I don't know how they're actually going to bring all this together in a way that is not only like makes sense logically, but like is also moving. And I'm excited to see Doctor Strange tonight because I think maybe there will be some amount of answers or furthering the multiverse plot forward, which I'm excited about. Mm-hmm. So the stakes are just so high, and sometimes the stakes are so high for so long that it's like, are the stakes really high? Like, they're going to get it figured out, you know? And then the only other thing is Loki. I love Loki. He's my favorite Marvel character for sure. So I was psyched for this one to come out. And I really like how they treated his character. I don't know that it was exactly what I would have wanted from his character because he wasn't shifty and he wasn't backstabbing people and stuff, which is part of what I love about his character. But I did like, I'm able to get over it because they did have where because it's 2012 Loki, where he gets like he gets to see all of the life that he would have lived and did live that we saw. Okay. And he kind of got to like fast forward through all of that character growth by seeing it, so that we really did end up with the Loki we had in Infinity War, which was nice. Because it's like, that is the Loki I wanted. I didn't want to see a Loki show about the 2012 Loki. So I liked how they did do that, and they kind of fast forwarded all of his character growth. But it was like, he's like in love. And
with himself.
I just like him being super full of himself and backstabbing and just like, whose side is he on?
Yeah.
But those are my only two things I could say negative about it. I love that show otherwise.
It's good. Quality show.
What's your number 3, Josh?
What If?
What if? is
Oh,
all
wow.
the
You
way
guys
number
forgot that
3.
that show existed?
Wow, I sure
forgot
did.
about
And we
it.
talked
I
about
thought
it
we
20
buried
minutes
that one
ago.
already.
Ha ha.
Totally forgot about it.
All right, time for me to gush
There we go.
Yeah,
about
please
what
do.
if. Okay,
We are not
so
qualified.
oh, so good. Okay, the reason I love the show is because they can have whatever stakes they want, and it doesn't matter. They can
Yeah.
kill whoever they want, and it doesn't matter. Anybody can be evil or good, it doesn't matter. And I think a lot of times you have, like you just talked about with Loki, you wanted him to be evil 2012 sly Loki and good guy Infinity War Loki. And you can't have them both at the same time.
Right.
But with What If, you can.
You can.
And it's fun to let people be creative and let storytellers be creative because there are no stakes. So you have Hank Pym is the serial killer, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he kills all the Avengers.
And he kills the Avengers.
It's a cool episode.
And crazy episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a good guy, and he kills all the good guys. That's crazy. Zombie apocalypse in the
Yeah.
Marvel show.
Yeah.
You have like zombie Captain America getting killed by Black Widow. Crazy.
It's crazy.
That's awesome. You have Ultron getting the Vision suit
Yes.
and breaking through the multiverse to
That's a
kill
really cool
every
episode.
Avenger in every in universe.
In universe.
That's crazy. And at the same time, it doesn't matter at all. It's
Yeah.
like, you guys ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Great show, fantastic show. Patton Oswalt makes an appearance, and he has a filibuster in City Hall. And he talks about, during his filibuster, you know, you have to talk and keep talking to run out the clock of the town hall meeting. And he brings up his script for Star Wars Episode 7. And he talks about Boba Fett's hand coming out of the Sarlacc pit, which is what happened in the show. I mean, that's crazy that happened. But he goes on, and they like go to commercial break or whatever. He comes back, and Chewbacca has the Infinity Gauntlet from Marvel and is talking about breaking through the multiverse. And they're like, we're going to connect the DC universe, the Marvel universe.
gosh.
We're going to get Sony in there, you know, all in the Star Wars universe with lightsabers. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. And so What If gives you all of these possibilities without having any stakes at all. And it's just fun. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's great. And then you in the last episode, you break through all these multiverses and you get to see all of these characters from all of these different multiverses come together and have an actual story even.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's sick. And the animation is also great. You have that really cool, like, comic booky look to it. So it's not that it's like actually good storytelling or actually good character growth or anything.
That's what
but it's
every
just-
creator
it's-
wants to hear.
Yeah. It's just
Not
dumb
actually
fun with these cool scenarios in the Marvel universe. That'll never happen in real life, but it's like, what if?
Yeah.
And wow. And that's the whole point of the show.
That's awesome.
Plus, the Doctor Strange episode is awesome and looks like
is
it might
really good.
actually matter in this new movie, question mark. So,
We'll see.
yeah, that's a great show.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
Man, up
Worth a
to number
rewatch
2.
for sure.
Do we all have the same number 2? My number 2 is Moon Knight.
My number 2 is Moonknight.
What about you?
My number
Josh?
2 is Loki.
Oh,
Ooh.
man.
Spicy.
Okay, so we talked about Moon Knight. Tell us
Yeah.
about Loki. Why is it your number 2?
I really like Loki because we get to break into the multiverse and have this new, like, I felt like with Endgame, we had the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor. Everybody else was done. You know, they're like, okay, we have Spider-Man. He's going to have his movie here soon. But, like, everybody else is kind of done.
Yeah.
Like, other than these low-stake issues, what can we really do with our characters now? But you get Loki now destroying Kang, which isn't his real name, but, like, come on, it's Kang. We get to break into the multiverse, and now we can really start Phase 4, and it feels fresh, because there's a huge, like, people are tired of Marvel movies, you know?
Yeah,
the amount of people that saw Ant-Man 2, like, come on. You know?
That movie.
Yeah.
It was whatever, right?
It's whatever.
Because people were so tired of those movies. There's like 23 movies in the goodness. In the whole Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
And
It's too many
so we were
movies.
like, yeah. But at the same time, not enough.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's awesome.
I would watch all
yeah.
of them again. Well, that's not true.
It's so great.
We'll get into that.
So yeah, I just really like that it's able to refresh the tab, if you will,
That's awesome.
technical speak.
There you go.
But I also really liked the what's it called? The Clover Paradox girl. I don't remember her name. The actress who
I don't
plays
know
the
her name.
president.
She's great.
Cloverfield Paradox. Yeah,
Oh,
whatever it's
yeah.
called.
She's great in that show.
And Owen Wilson
oh gosh,
is
yeah. Freaking Owen Wilson. It's amazing. But do you
what
not
is his
like
name?
Owen Wilson?
I don't like
Orpheus?
Owen Wilson,
Get
but
out of here.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Mobius,
He's
the
hard
best
to
character
look
in the
at. I'll say
MCU.
it.
He's hard to
He's
look at.
hard to look at. He's
I would
great
look at
to
him
look
all
I think
day.
he's so weird looking.
I
And
love
his
that
voice.
guy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's
Owen
not a
Wilson-
real opinion though. That's neither here nor there.
Owen Wilson is in a Loki show. That's
That
incredible.
is pretty cool.
That's
It's so
wild.
great.
That's wild
Of
as
course.
heck, and I love it.
Yeah, and it was really
I'll get
cool
to
to have the TVA. That's what they're called, right?
Yeah.
And like have this intergalactic time police,
Yeah.
which I think is a fun thing. If you guys have seen Umbrella Academy on Netflix, it's a show about a group of superhero kids, and they fight crime and stuff. Whatever. There is also a interdimensional time police group in that show. Pretty good show.
Nice.
I think that's such a cool concept because there totally could be. And like time just changes around us all the time. And we don't know because our memory is changing all the time because our time is being altered behind us and in front of us. So like it could literally be true, and I may get abducted right now by the international police, but you know, and go on my merry way. So I just beyond like the actual story, I think having that is such a cool concept to me. So and for Owen Wilson to be like an office worker in that setting
yeah.
it's like perfect.
Yeah.
I'm bummed we never got to see him on a jet ski. I
Yeah.
thought that was gonna be like
Oh,
an end
yeah.
credit
Jet
scene or
ski thing.
something.
Get his jet ski.
Somebody get this man.
They're
a jet
actually
ski.
making a season 2 of that show. It's the only
It's actually
MCU
in
show that
development.
is confirmed
Nice.
filming
I
second
feel like they
season,
give
so.
Hawkeye a season 2 and everybody be like, why do you choose Hawkeye?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So that
But yeah,
Loki's your
okay.
number 2.
Yeah.
Moon Knight
Loki's
was
my
our
number
number
2.
2.
Moonknight's pretty good.
We talked about it.
I don't know if it's recency bias though, because now that I'm talking about Loki again, it's like,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. So I'll have to in like
Yeah.
3 months reevaluate. But
Moon
Moon
Knight-
Knight is currently number 2 for me.
It's just it was almost gonna be number 1, and then the last episode it just didn't stick the landing
Yeah.
for me. So it is below Loki, which is my number 1. Because all the things we've said about Loki,
Yeah.
it's an amazing show, and it's the only show on here that doesn't end in a big CGI punch battle.
Yeah.
You know, it ends with Jonathan Majors
Ugh.
just eating
Oh,
up the scenery, just
eating
like,
that apple, man.
oh my gosh, he's so good
He is incredible.
as Kang or He Who Remains.
yeah.
It's an episode where he's talking, and it's exposition city, and usually I'd be like, get that out of here, but it's the only show on this list that, and I only think this now because I rewatched it, because Loki was like number 4 on my list until like a couple of days ago. I rewatched it. I was like, this is the only show that sticks the landing for me. The vibe of Loki is just so cool, and just like the way the TVA is built, and the like the kind of the vibe that they go for, it's just fun. And like the score is like one of the best MCU scores ever.
It's really good.
For sure.
It's so good. It's shot really well. The acting is really good. It might not be the most creative, but I like everything they do with the TVA and going to different planets, and how the villain is Loki as a girl, and how Loki literally has to fall in love with himself. Like he has to, which it's problematic and it's weird. But
if any character was to,
exactly.
Yeah, that's part of it too. Right?
He has to kill the part of himself that hates himself, and he has to literally fall in love with himself. And it's just cool storytelling in a wacky kind of weird way, and I love it a lot.
Man.
That's
I would
my
like to
number
double
one.
down on how stupid good that last episode is.
So good.
Man, that's the only episode that I watched twice. I did go back and watch that again because I just feel like the big speech that Jonathan Majors gives as Kang, or whatever he's supposed to be called, he who must not be named. His speech, it's long, and it's
a whole episode.
basically just him with some questions from Loki and Sylvie. But like the job that the writers have to do to write that script, like the amount of exposition, world building, and explanation for whatever is to come they had to do in those 20 minutes is like, I cannot imagine having that task on my shoulders to write it and it be entertaining, and then for Jonathan Majors to deliver it in just like the most perfect, delicious way. It's just, I love that episode.
There's a shot that like it's pulled back. You can see Loki and Sylvie sitting, and you see him at the desk. And then it's the moment where he crosses the threshold of like he no longer knows what's going to happen. And it just holds on him, and it just gets closer and closer to him. And he's not saying anything. He's just like, you're watching a man who has lived hundreds of years knowing exactly what's going to happen. And all of a sudden he has no idea what's going to happen. And you're just watching him silently come to grips with that. And he's just like, oh, yeah. Oh. It's just so good.
And just like the subtle, he would be like sitting in his chair behind the desk, and then he would like stand up with his hand on the desk and like walk around the desk. And then I think at one point he like sat on the desk with his knee up, and just like the little things he does throughout, like it's very choreographed, but like in a way that is believable. And the way that he's this big bad, maybe bigger than Thanos, like this big bad now of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he's just like confident, obviously, but in a like sarcastic way. It's just like, I know everything, and you guys know so little, and let me just explain some things to you. Yeah. It just I love that episode.
Love it.
It's so good.
That's awesome. That just made me think of the first Blade Runner movie. Oh wait, Jordan, you haven't seen the first Blade Runner, have you?
Yet.
Ooh.
Never mind.
I need to watch it.
But there is a moment similar, potentially, maybe or not, that is one of my favorite performances ever.
Watch that.
Oh,
I need to watch that movie, I guess.
Yeah. That's so good. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna watch that later.
What's your number one, Elisha?
My number one. Am I the last one? Wait, no, you.
My number one is Moon Knight, but
shoot, my number one is Wanda Vision, and I'm confident about that opinion, and I'm not holding back. I love that show. It was the first one. We watched it in the dorms together. It was the first one. It was the first show in a long time that we've watched and not been able to binge it, at least for me. And it was like new all of a sudden.
The Mandalorian was like the first.
Yeah,
one,
I guess Mandalorian. It just is so good. And I watched the first 2 episodes, and I was like, I don't know that I want to keep watching this show. Like, if this is all, I didn't grow up with the Dick Van Dyke Show. Like, it's completely lost on me. But now in retrospect, it's like, oh, actually, those first 2 episodes are my favorite thing about the whole show. It's just and for me, who I am one of those people who like gets a little tired of Marvel stuff sometimes. Sometimes it's just like too much big zaps and big stakes and things. And so WandaVision was just like pulling it right back down to like, here's this weird like 50s, 60s show and with characters, but it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
And you're confused, but you like get so caught up in the weird new genre that when there is like the beekeeper scene or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, this is a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
I almost forgot. And I think it's a masterpiece. I love it. Everything negative you said about it, I almost completely disagree. I love that show. I think it's so good. I love episode 7, which is the Agatha All Along. First of all, I had that song on repeat on Spotify for a very long time. I learned it on piano. I love that song just on its own.
What a nerd.
It is a great song. That aside, I did like the Agatha All Along thing, how you can watch it back now and you do see like she's not acting weird. She's acting weird because that's like the bit. That's the humor, is that she's like a little weird and wonky. But then it like makes sense in the end. I love that. I don't think anybody really necessarily saw that coming, unless people who do know the comics and know about Agatha Harkness might have called it. But I loved the Agatha All Along thing. I agree that the last episode isn't the best thing that's ever been made, but I loved the Vision versus Vision. They like fought for like, I don't know, 30 seconds, and then they were both like, we are like incredibly overpowered, and we're just gonna talk. we're just gonna and it's so fascinating because Vision's whole arc and just the way he came about and stuff, and the fact that they would pull the ship of Theseus to be the thing that they debate over is perfect. That was actually a philosophical concept I knew about before because I took a philosophy class at Ozark, and it's like when they started talking about that, it like put all the puzzle pieces together for me, and it was like, oh, that's exactly what this is. And there's not an answer, and I'm so confused just along with them. I just love it. What else? I love the like homage.
Are you aware of the ship of Theseus?
I just love like the love letter to TV too, like the love letter to old TV, and like the Full House episodes in the 80s, and which I did grow up with, and the 90s episodes, and which is like our old Disney Channel. Felt like it was like an old Disney Channel show. And then the more recent ones, like The Office and Parks and Rec kind of vibe. It was just like every episode felt so different, but was also something that we have like the most familiarity with. And I think it's genius, and I just love it. I also love, this is dorky, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think the title of this show is perfect.
It is good.
I'm one for a good pun. And the fact that they pulled the two names of the two characters and the whole show is about TV, and they called it Wanda Vision. Yeah. It's just, it's perfect.
I remember when they released that title like a year and a half before the show came out. I was like,
yeah.
Can you imagine naming a show such a stupid name?
Yeah.
But then I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, makes sense.
It was good. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was just, I just like to see those characters too, because we had seen them in Ultron most notably, but their arc had shown up in a couple other things, and it was like just the amount of screen time they have. I can't care enough because I'm so caught up in everything else, and then they're in love. It's just like I can't follow all the things and feel all the things for every single character. So it was nice for me because I've always wanted to like those two characters and their plot and their story and stuff, and this gave me the opportunity to, just with more screen time. And I have a long list of things. I'm making sure I said everything. It was definitely a breath of fresh air just to have. I was at the end of Endgame and stuff, I was a little tired of just like the classic Marvel genre that it's always somewhat the same thing. It always feels the same, at least, and WandaVision just felt a lot different, and I did really, really like that. And just the commentary on grief, I just thought it was just really beautiful and really, really powerful, and I could just eat that up all day. It's, is she at fault because she enslaved a bunch of people? 100%. Absolutely. But I'd still really love the take on grief and the, like, what is grief if not love persevering? That line, which I think is actually from Ultron, right? It's from a movie, not that show. But then they actually took like, let's like make a show based off that line. And it was just like, like, you know, if you've ever lost somebody, to like make up an imaginary world where they're still around and you get to live that dream. It's just like, I know she's at fault and she's culpable and she's terrible and she is the villain, but it's also like, man, I get it, you know, to an extent. I wouldn't enslave a bunch of people to be a part of my fantasy, but it's like, man, yeah, it's just, I love Wanda Vision.
I like that they connected the TV show thing with her childhood, and like that's how she like related to her family, and that's why she like creates this, because that was her ideal of like, wow, that's what it looks like to be happy, is to be the Dick Van Dyke Show or whatever. I thought that was really cool. But,
and just like from a stylistic point of view, when they went back to the 50s or 60s and they made plates float, you know, in the kitchen, they didn't do it the way they could now. They
performed
did it
in front of
they did
real
it
people
on strings, like they did in the old days. It all looked. It was just, and they did it in front of real people. They actually had a live audience. It's just like, man, really cool. I just love. It's just a very cool thing that I can't believe actually exists. It's just so cool. I can't get enough of it.
Wow.
Big fan.
Anyway, that's my defense of WandaVision. I understand people hate it, but I love it.
I don't hate it at all. Like we said, all of these are great.
They're all good.
And I love all of them.
Yeah, that's true. They're all good at the end of the day.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, hearing someone talk about a show that they love and having all of these little like specific things that create the whole picture for them is why I love this stuff.
Yeah.
It's why I made a podcast with my cousin.
Yeah.
Because he's good at talking about stuff like this. And it's beautiful. I love that.
We're doing what we want to do over here. Yeah.
Exactly. It's so great. So I really appreciate you being able to like be very eloquent about it. Not just be like, oh, it was sick, bro.
Yeah.
I love that. So that's awesome. Yeah. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've all ranked our shows.
Would you just want to like, why is Moonknight your number one?
I suppose I never talked about it, huh?
I know you like it, but why is it?
I mean, it's good. We want to hear why.
I see.
It was sick, bros.
It was sick, bro. How am I supposed to follow up on this? I just really enjoyed Oscar Isaac and May Callum-Way. I think they were so good at the characters that they were given. And I think for me too specifically, I had just taken multiple classes about dissociative identity disorder. And so being able to watch and even before that, I was like, this is not a real condition. This is not a real disorder. I didn't really believe it. Yeah. Which is, not great from a health science major. Because, I mean, you watch these kids on TikTok and they're like, I can shift in between 25 personalities, and they're all aware of each other, and they all have different interests, and they all know their names, and I can just blink and I'm a different person. I'm like, okay, some people are like that, and that is real.
Right.
But 25? That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, there's no way this is real. But it is. It's real. So it was really cool to then change my opinion entirely once I had learned new information. Yeah. And then a show came out that was all about it. And I was like, oh, whoa, this is cool. I just learned all about how this is real. And now we're getting to watch a show that didn't make it seem fake. Mm-hmm. So, like, they could have had them, like, talking in each other's heads and being super, like, abstract about it and not realistic. And which, they have the mirror reflections or whatever. So, like, I don't know if that happens where you can see a different person in the reflection. But that's a good way to visualize what people are feeling and thinking in their heads. But then to have, like, the suits change because there are different personalities. Oscar Isaac's facial expressions and mannerisms and the way he walks changes when because those are real. That's real, how it happens. Your sense of taste and smell changes. That's unrelated. I don't think they ever bring that up. But like, someone will like pizza bagels and then someone will hate pizza bagels.
Wow.
So I just thought that it was so cool that they came up with this idea to use a disorder to tell a story, and then to have it also be like, we're going to get to the bottom of who the original person was, and to like see the moment where the second personality was created in like this like real traumatic moment that happens to people. And I was like, it's so good, because it's real. And Marvel is this fantastical, magical world with technology and super magic and multiverses and stuff. But then I think we've all agreed that we like it when they get down to the nitty gritty and we get to see these real characters do real things. And this show had the magic of, Khonshu and spiritual Egyptian gods and stuff. But then we also spent 5 episodes with barely any suit, barely any action. I mean, there was some action, but he wasn't in the suit for most of it. It was like this character depth, like, and it was 2 actors in the same body. Oscar Isaac got to play 2 people at once, which is a trope in Hollywood a lot. With like Paul Rudd just had a movie last year or 2 years ago where he played himself twice or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's fun, but it's like a gag. But this is like a real thing.
Yeah.
And so it was.
Sorry, Paul Rudd.
Yeah. I mean, no shade to Paul Rudd. He's hilarious. One of my favorites. But I loved him in Ant-Man. Yeah. I don't know. It was just like,
we love Moonknight.
and to have it be this cool, like, Egyptian gods, which is something we haven't really touched on in Marvel at all, to be able to bring, sounds cliche, but more diversity into the Marvel world, where it's not, I mean, we barely even was there any time spent in America in this show?
No, I don't think so.
Because they live in London, right?
And, London and Egypt.
In Cairo. And then like the Netherlands or something for a brief moment. So that was something cool too.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it didn't have like, I think there's only one thing that somebody says that connects it to the rest of the MCU. Like, there's no, did you guys see that crazy Tony Stark doing Iron Man stuff?
Yeah.
You guys hear about Spider-Man? Like, Taweret references the Black Panther kind of spiritual space. That's like the only thing from the MCU that they reference, and I love that about it.
What is that realm called?
The ancestral plane.
Yes.
The ancestral plane. Right, you're absolutely right.
Man.
I also don't know if anybody has said this yet, or if this is my own original thought, but I really like WandaVision. I don't think anybody can hear it, but there's an ice cream truck like right outside. It's a real ice cream truck. It happens every day.
In 2022?
Yeah. I don't think he gets any business. I've never seen a kid at
we should go.
You got to get out there.
Anyway, I don't know if anybody said this, but I really like WandaVision and Moonknight have like the same arc. Like the first 2 episodes of WandaVision and the first episode of Moonknight are basically like, we're just going to put you in this world, and the audience, we have no idea what's happening. We have no clue. And then the like next 4 episodes of WandaVision, next 2 or 3 of Moonknight are exposition, starting to maybe figure some stuff out, figuring out what the main conflict is going to be. And then episode 5 of Moonknight and episode 7 of WandaVision are, okay, let's do a walk down memory lane and let's heal from some stuff and let's figure out where all this came from. And then, unfortunately, the end is big shootout, pow pow stuff.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to me. It's 1 and 2 for me, WandaVision and Moonknight. They have like almost the same story arc. I just think it's cool.
Wow. That's cool that we like the same thing from 2 different shows.
Yeah.
like for the same reason. But then I'm like, WandaVision's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
love these
now we've
shows.
talked about everything.
should-
Marvel's
Oh my
amazing.
We've been talking for
You
a long
can't
time.
fault them. Yeah, this ends up being the longest episode. We
Nice.
thought beforehand that this
We
would be the
said-
shortest one.
Yeah, Josh said this is probably going to be short, and now it's almost 2 hours.
Well, whoops. All of the shows are arts. None of them are farts.
That's right.
Not that that matters, but
None of them are farts.
what are we doing next week?
We are doing
Jordan.
Doctor Strange. We're going to deep
Doctor
dive
Strange
review
and the
Doctor
Multiverse of
Strange.
Madness.
Yep.
The good, the bad, the funny.
That's right.
Nice.
Art or fart, all the stuff.
Are we gonna have a jingle for that? Do you you think you might be
We
able
should-
to find a jingle
I
for
should
that?
make a jingle for that. Yeah.
We got our jingle guy on it.
Yeah. Before we,
So maybe we'll
Our
maybe
jingle
we'll have a
guy.
jingle for
I'm
that.
your jingle
Oh
guy.
yes, Jordan,
Um,
our jingle guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Before we end, I did
Um,
have some just recommendations. I've seen some movies in the past couple weeks. Just really quick. If you're like all these Marvel movies, I'm tired of Marvel movies. Hollywood doesn't do anything original anymore. There are 2 movies out that are extremely original that I saw. The Northman, starring one of the Skarsgårds, is really, really good. It's like The Northman is like a medieval Viking poem that is actually the poem that inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet. So it's a very Hamlet-esque narrative about the son of a king who is killed by, the king is killed by his brother. Hamlet, Lion King narrative. You've seen it before. But not like this. And it's really, really good. And then I saw Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is a new A24 movie starring Michelle Yeoh. It's very multiverse. Stuff's going on, lots of martial arts. And it's wild and it's wacky and it's R-rated, so don't go if you're not into that. But it's really, really good. And I did have, thinking about Moonknight and multiple personalities, a few years back, the movie Split, starring James McAvoy, is really good. If you really like the multiple personality element of Moonknight, I think you'd really like Split because James McAvoy, master actor, plays like 15 different characters in the same body, and it's really, really good. Those are my recommendations. Thank you.
There you go.
Nice.
I missed that on the sheet. I apologize.
All good.
Yeah, so next week we are talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh.
We'll do a good, bad, and the funny, along with a lovely little art or fart segment for fun. We love that.
We really do.
we
He
really
sounds
do.
not excited about it. but-
We don't have a Marvel show to talk about beforehand,
Bummer.
so who knows? Maybe we'll
We'll
just
come up
talk
with-
about our lives or something. I don't know.
Ooh.
Get into the
Who could say?
gritty.
But yeah, that's what we're thinking about next week. Same time, same place. No schedule changes yet. We will be very upfront with those things in the future.
Yes.
Um,
Elisha, thank you so much for joining us
Of
on the
course.
podcast.
yes, Elisha.
Honored.
We have
what a
him
guy.
on the schedule to appear again in next month, I believe,
Oh,
for
man.
our Marvel Cinematic Universe discussion.
Even more unpopular opinions.
Yes.
Can
You
I
guys
say
are
one
gonna
of them
hate
right
it.
now?
Nope. You have to come back.
We gotta hold all that. Yeah,
Dang, I do because dang it. Okay.
absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to Quarter Twins, the only podcast where 2 quarters make $1. We have 1 quarter each.
Yes.
We are well on our way. That's exciting. Elisha, thank you for coming yet again. We are Quarter Twins on Instagram
Yes. At quarter
is
twins.
our social media presence
Yes.
there. Jordan's running that.
Follow
He's
that.
great.
I do post
Check it out.
every week.
He's on there posting, doing polls and stories and reels, whatever they're called these days.
Yeah.
Whatever the kids are calling them these days.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching episode 6. We will see you next week for Doctor Strange. Goodbye.
Goodbye.